He's a contentious pop figure, our Drake, but whether you're into the music or not, there's no disputing that the guy is freaking huge. Even if the music's never really been your thing, I'm still gonna venture that there's at least one hit song in Aubrey Drake Graham's hit-packed discography. 186 Billboard Hot 100 singles to date, the most by any solo artist in the history of the chart. By now that you've caught yourself turning up when you're alone in the kitchen with the radio on. But that's your private business, and we're not here to talk about your business today. We're here to talk about Drake's business. And the business of Drake is still very much booming. Thank you very much. Drake performs during the Aubrey and the Three Migos tour at Little Caesars Arena on August 14th in Detroit. The tour arrives in Toronto for 3 nights at Scotiabank Arena this week. Scott Legato, Getty Images. Drake performs during the Aubrey and the Three Migos tour at Little Caesars Arena on August 14 in Detroit. The tour arrives in Toronto for 3 nights at Scotiabank Arena this week. Scott Legato, Getty Images. The Toronto hip-hop superstar, who logged yet another No. 1 debut in multiple territories with the release of his Scorpion album on June 29, makes a splashy return to the 6-6 this week with 3 sold-out shows at the Scotiabank Arena during the early stages of his 4-month Aubrey, since the local dates were abruptly bumped from their original start date of August 10, right around the time on the calendar that Drake usually brings home his star-studded OVO Fest. Speculation still runs rampant that he might yet pull out all the stops in unofficial observance of the OVO tradition. We'll see. The potential for surprise invitees aside, it'll be hard to top the gigantic CN Tower replica he brought to the former Molson Amphitheater, along with such guests as Migos, Ray Shrimmered, Party Next Door, Travis Scott, Cardi B, French Montana, Playboi Carti and Nelly, for last summer's OVO Palooza on the Lake Shore. But apparently 8 Flying Yellow Ferrari featured prominently at one point during the generous 44-song setlist Drake debuted in Kansas City last week, so dude's clearly not skimping on production this time around, either. Drake is still operating at the peak of his powers, 2 years on from the widespread writerly speculation that we might have been approaching peak Drake that preceded the release of Views in April 2016. Wheelchair Jimmy has taken this rap thing a lot further than any Degrassi, the next generation acolyte, ever dared anticipate. You won't come across too many other performers either cocky or wealthy enough to exhume an unused Michael Jackson vocal for their own purposes, as Drake just did on Scorpion's posthumous Jacko duet, Don't Matter to Me, Know What I Mean. Article continued below. So although it feels a bit weird to discuss Drake's legacy while he's only 31 years old and still very much in the game, we thought it wouldn't hurt to assess some of his history-making accomplishments before he comes home to town. He's really put Toronto and Canadian hip-hop on the map. Despite the strides made by the likes of Maestro Fresh Wes, Dream Warriors, Cardinal Official, Socrates and KOS into international circles on and off since the 1980s, homegrown rappers still often found themselves viewed with the same WTF suspicion that has always bedeviled homegrown country singers south of the border until recently. It was like I was an alien, basically, was how Edmonton-bred MC Cadence Weapon put it to me earlier this year. Now people don't even think about it. Drake, right? I feel like it's a great opportunity for all of us. You're able to go out there and you don't have to explain yourself anymore. These days, hip-hop artists from the GTA such as Tory Lanez, Jazz Cartier and Belly boast international deals with major labels, while up-and-comers like Claremont II, Killy, Nav and Tasha the Amazon are viewed outside the country as next-wave prospects for success rather than as curiosities. Producers associated with the scene, from Drake Associates Noah, 40. Shabib and Boy 1. To Ajax's T- to Brampton's 1 to Girl to Weekend collaborators Doc McKinney and Alangelo and beyond, are suddenly getting a lot more work than they might have previously. And let's not forget the concurrent rise of New School Toronto are. People are paying attention. He's transformed the sound of mainstream hip-hop. True, Drake has always worn, and continues to wear, the influence of mentor Lil Wayne and the associated, Atlanta-born, trap scene from whence Wayne, Future and Migos all sprang. but the dreamy, gauzy, vocoder-drenched narco-are. As for good or ill too, has Drake's propensity for ultra-sensitive self-examination, or self-obsession, depending upon how you frame it, on the lyric sheet. He's really worked the drama angle. Hip-hop, with its endless beefs and rivalries, sometimes resembles a running soap opera as much as CNN for black people, as Chuck D once famously put it. But by consistently airing apparent details of his personal life, not to mention his perpetual paranoia and romantic insecurity, through his music, while also consistently keeping himself in the headlines through coyly deployed Instagram posts, gossip-worthy gal pals and public spats with other rappers like Meek Mill, victory for Drake, and Pusha T, a rather decisive loss for Drake, the former TV star is basically supplying his fans with round-the-clock, multimedia, reality, entertainment. The latest chapter in the drama involves him admitting on several Scorpion tracks to fathering the son that rival Pusha T accused him of hiding in the vicious diss track, Story of a Didn't, a couple of months ago. Factor in his gift for hijacking internet memes, and now there's scarcely a day that goes by without another Drake headline. It feels weird to discuss Drake's legacy when he's only 31 years old, but he still has plenty of history-making accomplishments. Scott Legato article continued. Belois made albums really long again. The slow demise of the CD and the return of vinyl LPs to prominence was a godsend for many of us fed up with albums hopelessly padded out to reach the CD maximum of 80 minutes, heralding a return to the more manageable 35 and 40-minute lengths. Not so for those who like to game music streaming services for maximum impact and album equivalent units, which treat multiple streams as sales on the Billboard album chart. Drake knows how to game streaming services. In more ways than one, he got a reported $19 million out of Apple Music for exclusivity rights to views. The 90-minute Scorpion is presented as a double album, with one rap-oriented disc, and another of Moby Future R. And while it could have worked artistically in another age, it would be cynical not to read Drake's decision to put out 25 songs as a result of having one eye on his balance sheet, seemingly every hour since Scorpion's release. A press release has gone out touting some new streaming record has been invented for Drake to break. Those suspicions are magnified when one recalls that this has happened previously with Views 81-14 and last year's playlist More Life 81-42. Although maybe Drake just thinks in double album terms. So far gone, and if you're reading this it's too late. We're both 70-minute monsters, and Take Care was 80 minutes long. They could all use an edit here and there. He's indirectly responsible for launching The Weeknd. Obviously, Abel Tesfaye and his original production co-conspirators Doc McKinney and Delangelo were onto a darkly original and soon-to-be much emulated thing with those first three Weeknd eps back in 2010 and 2011. The Weeknd, arguably the biggest pop star to come out of Toronto since Drake, was given a healthy boost towards his future world domination when Drake himself took him under his wing, saying his praises to all who would listen, and engaged in numerous collaborations. Drake appeared on the Thursday track, The Zone, and Kiss Lands, Live 4, and enlisted The Weeknd to help on 5 tracks on Take Care. The Weeknd is talented enough that he would have made it to the top eventually, one suspects, but it's doubtful he would have risen so high so quickly without a little help from his old pal Aubrey Ray Graham. Ben Raynor is the star's music critic and based in Toronto. Follow him on Twitter, @IHateBenRaynor.